Y'all, I think everything seems to be working. Nice to see you guys in the stream. Today, as you saw in the title, we're talking about OpenAI's new image model or their new release of an image model. I think it had been working behind the scenes for a long time, but this is GPT-4o. I assumed it'd be called like DALL-E 4 or something, but no, it's like GPT-4o for Omni. Seems to be an Omni image model, and it works a little bit interestingly. Let's do an infographic explaining the water cycle, just to sort of see how it pieces together text and images and works it down the line in sort of a printer-like fashion, where instead of generating by diffusion, it generates one row at a time, meaning it can be a lot more careful about where it places objects, where it places text, and how everything kind of works together. So if I say an infographic explaining the water cycle, designed for fourth graders, we should get a pretty cool image out of this. It does take a while. So while these are generating, I'm going to be bouncing kind of back and forth between here and the OpenAI announcement. I took a little bit of time to just like go through it a little bit, but I haven't really read through everything that this is all about. I have played around with the model a little bit and sort of saw what it can and can't do and the sort of things it's currently able to generate and what it's not so great at. So if we kind of watch this image generate as it's kind of coming along, I think it's doing some thinking as the language model first, and then it kind of cuts down from there and says, okay, I'm going to figure out what I want to draw. And then I'm going to start generating this top row, generate the next row, generate the next row in something other than a diffusion process. We can really think about like what goes in this piece, what goes in this piece, what goes in this piece. And it seems to make smarter decisions. If you clicked on this, you probably saw the thumbnail. This image, including the text of that thumbnail, worked its way down. It actually made this image first. And I was like, hey, I like this, but obviously the aspect ratio doesn't work. Do free users have access to this tool, Lewis? Great question. I think not. I do think it's effective, or yeah, I think it's for plus users and pro users only. So plus users have the sort of $20 a month range, and pro users are the $200 a month range. I think they have access, but if you're just using the free model, it doesn't quite do that. But you can see it's kind of working its way down here to get the text really, really high quality. Midjourney could never kind of get this right in the right kind of way. I was working on a griffin earlier, and it seems to be incorporating things I've been talking about, which is funny. But looking at this, I think it's going to get the griffin right. Head of an eagle, wings of an eagle, talons, back feet, tail of this. And so the rated image is not part of the image, but it's like, hey, condensation to evaporation to precipitation to collection, and it goes all the way about. How do you change the aspect ratio? I just essentially asked for it, so I was kind of, hey, I like this image, but this is a square image and it doesn't fit all of what you wanted to generate. Could you zoom out a bit and do a wide aspect ratio? And then it just sort of did it for me. Reframe the typography so it looks great, and also skip the row of green balls because that doesn't look realistic. Like, how would that balance? And then it took that out. It kept the stack otherwise the same because it's not diffusion. It's working things in order. And they did say it's for free users as well. Maybe I misread this. I thought it said plus only, but let's take a look here. We can get a little closer. So my understanding was, what is this saying? So first cave painting, text rendering. Who is this for? Who gets to use this? Who gets access? Okay. It currently is rolling out starting today to Plus, Pro Team, and free users as a default image generator in ChatGPT, with access coming soon to Enterprise and EDU. So I guess, yes, I was incorrect. Free users can access this as well. I'm not sure how many you get. I'm not sure how many I will get because, like, who knows? But it's not in GPTs yet. I did test that. Yeah, it says free, but not enterprise, which is surprising to me. But I guess they kind of want to make sure it's a really high quality before they do anything. But I just want to sort of take a moment to sort of see the kinds of things it's able to do. Obviously, I've generated some, we scrolled through them, but there's kind of a lot it's able to do. I'm like looking at these demos of like, hey, this is a whiteboard scene where someone is writing something very specific. Like, look at this prompt. It's like, oh, I want to do all of this stuff, pros, cons, fixes, and put it all on the whiteboard. And then take the same whiteboard scene and the same person and have a person taking a selfie with her in front of the whiteboard who was the photographer in the last scene that was visible in the reflection. And it kind of got all of that right in a best of 8. So they generated a lot of times to kind of make that happen. But that seems cool. I just want to kind of, at a glance, pretty much all AI images look great, but I'm curious if I like actually go through and read both of these. So transfer between modalities. Transfer between modalities. Suppose we directly model p text pixels with one big auto-regressive prior, with one big auto-regressive transformer. What did they ask for? One big autoregressive transformer. So it is losing a little bit of text here. Autoregressive prior, what is that even saying? And it kind of loses that. And as we get kind of past these image generation augmentation with vast world knowledge, image generation augmented with vast world knowledge, it doesn't really fit and doesn't really include everything, but it's so, so close. That's impressive. Tokens, transformer, like that all could fit. It's almost like it has a whole imagination of what this world is. And with like her head blocking things, it still kind of all fits in this space. That's really cool. Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Deja Vu. Hi Zai. Hi Asim. It's really cool to have all of you on the stream. Let's generate something else kind of with this spirit in mind. I'd love to do like a very photorealistic something. All right. Hey, I'm done with everything we've done before and I want to reset. It's like including my griffin, which is cool, the fact that it brought this in. I want a super photorealistic scene. An artist is drawing a painting of the Eiffel Tower at sunset, but out his window is, let's do the Statue of Liberty. And he is hanging out in an art studio. So this is like, hey, I'm really challenging it to kind of have a lot of things going on. The art studio is clean and modern and has a bunch of paintings hanging up, including, and I'm going to cheat and turn around, a tree that is growing out of ice but is on fire, an alien bird creature in a cool berry-filled environment. Let's see. An owl under the northern lights. I'm asking for a lot. I don't know if it's going to be able to pull this off. And again, I may have to restart this chat, but I'd love to sort of be in one place so I can talk to you about what we've done and scroll through it. I got your name right, Asim. Nice. First try. So yeah, this will generate. It does take a while, and you can imagine why that happens if it's generating row by row by row by row and trying to get everything right each time. It's pretty challenging to kind of piece all these things together, but I'm excited to see kind of how this will come out. So just because I was like typing and talking to recap, what I'm trying to do here is create a scene where an artist, human being, is painting something. They're painting the Eiffel Tower, and I want it to sort of hopefully be halfway through. And then I am putting this artist in an art studio where there's a window. Outside the window is the Statue of Liberty, and there's a bunch of paintings, including these three. And I want the art studio to be sort of minimalist and clean, but kind of have a lot of these things. I want to create consistent character in different poses. So while this is going, I did play around with that a little bit. And as far as I can tell, it was okay at, so this was sort of the challenge character that I did in Midjourney that was like hard to pull off, which was, hey, you have a lady or an angel with purple wings, a key around her neck, and a halo. And to kind of get this character in different poses in this scene in a very simplified way, it pulled off. But I was like, hey, I'd love this to be a more realistic style. And you sort of see that it turned this, it realized because it's working down the row, going down, 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 and the anatomy stopped working. So when it tries to do too much and is too confident in itself, it seems like it does have some trouble. I also sort of I did the full wine glass. There's a viral video. A great YouTuber made this like, hey, ChatGPT and AI in general has trouble generating a full wine glass. GPT-4o seems to be able to do that because it goes down. It looks at this little section, this row on the image, and it's like, hey, should it be visible? And the answer is yes. And then I asked it something that I wasn't sure it'd be able to do. I was like, now turn the wine glass upside down and have it be hovering above the table. But I want to reveal that it isn't wine at all. It's actually a very viscous goo like honey. So the wine colored goo will be oozing out of the glass like a small drop. And it lost the thread a little bit. And here's what I think happened, because it's kind of funny. Yeah, it created my upside down wine glass. It was working down it, working down it, working down it. And it got to here and it seemed to forget, right, what the wine glass experience was. And the fact that, and so you see the shape it makes here looks like a right side up wine glass. And so it kind of started curving back down this way. And then it's like, oh, this is how the wine glass should look. And so it continued to make that shape, but it textured it like honey goo. And it actually kind of worked. But it's sort of weird how it decided to handle that, but still a really smart answer to the problem I challenged it with. But yeah, and I tried to like edit and fix it to add a brim here, and it just did the same thing again. So it doesn't really solve that. But yeah, I also worked on a pirate. If you ever tried this in Midjourney, office hours on the Midjourney server is going to be awkward today. Yeah, well, they didn't release their model. OpenAI did. This is what you get. Yeah, that's how it goes. So I asked it for a character, and I was like, hey, I want it to be a cinematic, like it's right out of a movie. And it made my pirate here a regular image model. I try in Midjourney, and it's so hard to make happen. Getting a peg leg is almost impossible for an AI because, like, in general, in its training data, one foot on a character is just like the other foot on a character. And this was able to sort of do the peg leg. His hook doesn't really work, obviously. It sort of made a hand and then turned it into a hook later, and that's not really how it is. This would be a problem in a regular model as well, because I use the token hand is going to be there. And so when it's describing a hook hand, it has trouble kind of making that happen. But I did try to edit this, and it did it again. This character does look a lot like this character, but I use this sort of selection feature. So if you see, sorry, you want to see everything. If you see this here, you can kind of draw in stuff. And I was like, fix the hand. And then, so that's sort of what happened here is I made a selection, tried to fix the hand, and this is what the pirate ended up looking like. And that was cool, but it wasn't really ideal, right? It didn't actually do the edit I asked for. It just sort of made another hand with a hook coming out of the finger. But when I tried to move it when I tried to move him into like a scene, right? I was like, hey, can you please put in a cinematic scene with a pirate ship during a lightning storm? This is what it came up with. And it made a regular, at least more regular. It seems like it's a glove with a thumb and a stub and then a hook coming out, but at least seemed more reasonable. The problem is I wouldn't call this a consistent character. I would really like if it was able to sort of keep track of who this looked like. You see kind of his nose is very triangular. He has this kind of like gruff face going on, and you sort of see how his beard looks. And then you see here, and maybe the shapes are similar, maybe the thing is, but like even in the different lighting and the different scene, this is not how this guy's beard would look. Coming up with this, that's a pretty good answer to what I had going on. I'm actually really impressed with this. So just a reminder for anyone who's just getting here, I asked it to create an Eiffel Tower painting, a human being, a photo of a human being drawing the Eiffel Tower at sunset with the Statue of Liberty out their window, and in an art studio that's clean and relatively minimal and I gave them these 3 paintings that I wanted. The alien bird didn't really happen, but a tree that is growing out of ice but is on fire, that's a really good pick, obviously inspired by that guy right over there. But like, wow. An owl under the northern lights, and an alien bird creature in a cool berry-filled environment. And that one didn't really happen, but it did put berries in this and made this guy an owl. So it got confused with trying to do too much at once, but that's nothing else would be able to be smart enough. No other model would be able to be smart enough to sort of solve all of those things at once, even just these 2, right? So if I was like, hey, in Midjourney, an artist drawing painting the Eiffel Tower at sunset. Yeah, it's a complex prompt. It's a challenging thing, and it's like incredibly smart how well it's able to pull that off. And even without the extra paintings in there, an artist painting the Eiffel Tower at sunset, but he is in his art studio with a window, and outside the window is the Statue of Liberty. And I can sort of take this and say, hey, this is my global profile. This is a photo of an artist to try to get a little bit closer, but it doesn't know what's going on. And it's like, is it a painting? Is it a thing? What is it a painting of? What is this like? And Midjourney can't really decide that this is the painting and this is the thing and this is the thing. And that's a problem with diffusion. And so it seems like what OpenAI figured out was that to solve the problem with diffusion, you should work section by section and ask a language model, what goes here? What goes here? What goes here? And it works like a printer, and it's going tick, 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 and figuring out every piece of the image one at a time. And it seems like a really clever solution that it's come up with to sort of solve that problem. I'm tempted to try it in my art designer because it uses the old version of DALL-E 3, right? So they haven't incorporated GPT-4o image generation into they haven't incorporated the image generation of GPT-4o into custom GPTs yet, so it doesn't use that model to do this. So it can give me a well-optimized prompt for Midjourney that I can take and say, hey, you know what? Let me come over here and paste this. And so now hopefully you have sort of a better chance, but even sort of the one that was like, hey, this is a photo and this is this, it still had so much trouble with it. And what, actually, with a pretty well optimized prompt for my GPT, I'm not that disappointed with this. That's a pretty good answer. This is obviously worse. This is not actually painting the thing I asked for, but better. And yeah, so 1 out of 4 with a really well optimized prompt. Not too disappointed. And so, though the prompt is a little bit misleading, if I read it, I might have been able to clean it up a little bit more. A photo of a artist in a cozy art studio. Painting the Eiffel Tower. And so it's like, it's making a point to say things like, hey, he's painting the Eiffel Tower at sunset. He's in an art studio painting the Eiffel Tower at sunset. And so working a little bit harder gets us pretty darn close. But still, it's the fact that it did so well with even more detail really, really impresses me. And so, yeah, this is DALL-E. This is DALL-E again. And it keeps working because obviously my GPT creates 4 of these, the Glibetry art designer. But I am so impressed with kind of what that has come to be. Let's see. Someone posted in the chat a little bit ago to try something. Who was that? Can you test this new tool with a prompt for an image in a way that's outside what its training would be, like the Great Wall of China morphing into a giant dragon serpent? Sure, let's try that. Yeah, so if you guys have ideas for prompts, happy to try them in here if you don't have access to this or just want to sort of see what happens. I'm curious about something like this too. I'm going to say, can you do a new image, the Great Wall of China morphing into this? A pure painting with calligraphy style embellishments. So I sort of want to see, and what I think so far in my experience is that it's missing the kind of, can you do the Great Wall of China into, it's missing the kind of creativity that Midjourney gets, right? So I sort of break down kind of the difference in image models between, hey, this is the, this is the intelligence of the model. How well does it follow the prompt and the physics of what you're generating versus, the creativity of a model, which is how beautiful can you interpret my idea and make a cool image with that in mind. And so far, kind of scrolling through the things I've done so far, it has cool things and good interpretations of what I asked for, but even if you think about like what Midjourney would do for a pirate like this, it would just come up with a much cooler scene, I think. Though the rigging on the ship is really high quality. And so things are constantly impressing me from this model, but I do wish that it had a little bit more like aesthetic style smarts. Here, I think I might have scrolled pretty fast, kind of bouncing back and forth, but this is, you can sort of see, and I don't know if this is really how it's happening behind the scenes, or if they're faking it a little bit when they generate this, but we're trying to see if this dragon that's coming out in front morphs in an interesting way into the Great Wall of China. Like the Great Wall of China is the dragon. And it seems to be following the aesthetic I asked for, not necessarily in that impressive of a way. And so, if I asked my art designer for like a prompt for this and gave it to Midjourney, how well would it do on that? I'm not entirely sure. But as is coming about, I'm not sure a morph has happened. This is just a dragon and the Great Wall of China. It's a cool dragon serpent and it sort of worked, but the morph is not really as smooth as I would like. I do kind of wonder if you could sort of, use the editor aspect of this, erasing things, and get it to morph a little bit better. Do a giant purple tornado approaching an island. Yeah, I think it would be able to pull that off. I'm just trying to like think about what sort of useful test that'll be. I think that it's similar to this in that, hey, object 1 and object 2 will kind of work together. So let's do a photo of a purple tornado approaching an island. And we'll say there are, I'm going to add a number thing. I'm curious about counting. 6 ships from different time periods are, what do ships do? Floating? Floating around the island, protecting it. I'm going to say 6 military ships. Because, you know, like, I think the language model will come up with ideas into this. It's a tough prompt I've been testing with AI tools for a while with. Yeah, so let's see how much better that prompt that I had ChatGPT write does in Midjourney. Because I think there's hope for something like this just out of Midjourney, because I think the morphing may come back to this. Is this paid? GPT-4o is, as far as I can tell, is currently free. I obviously don't have a free ChatGPT account, so let me know if I'm wrong. But in their little access thing right here, it says it's rolling out today to Plus, Pro, Team, and free users as the default image generator. So good sign in my experience that, like, hey, this actually works well for anyone who wants to try it. A little weird. Enterprise, and like if you have a school GPT account or an enterprise GPT account, you can't use it yet. Probably related to privacy concerns in some way. They want to like make sure there aren't any problems before they let companies use it. Yeah, so with optimized prompt, Midjourney, I think, wins this thing a little bit. Kind of bouncing back to what we were generating here. It's not done yet, but we've kind of made our purple tornado, and now I'm asking it to sort of accomplish this 6 military ships from different empires floating around the island, protecting it. And we'll see what it comes up with for that. It is, even if it's fake, I'm not sure if like what we're seeing here is literally what's happening in the background, but it is cool to sort of watch the image appear in this way. I just don't know if that's really like how it works. What about your combo creations like mythical creatures or the stone mite? Yeah, we'll see if it can pull that off. Getting the stone mite in would be very cool. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Amazing. These two are not from different time periods, it seems. But and like these two, I can't, like, it seems like we have 2 modern destroyers. We have 2 regular ships and 2 things. But yeah, it sort of solved all of this. It made 6 ships for us. And maybe if I had told it specifically what to do in this way. So we did sort of try out a sort of a standard hybrid. Let's see if we can come up with a prompt for maybe something like the stone mite here. Or actually, let's jump into a Glibetry Art Designer and just let's have it invent a magical creature for me, and then we'll tell GPT-4o to generate that creature. because I think it may do something cool with it, but who knows? I'd love to see it though. By the way, I do want to call out that we have 12 likes on this video. I appreciate every single one of you who have taken the time to hit the like button. It's free and it really helps the channel so much. It helps people find this live stream. There's 40 of you on right now, at least according to my stats. And how cool is that? I love it. So let's take this prompt back to here and let's generate this. I'll sort of take out a couple of these tags, but I'm curious how well tags affect this. I don't need glibetry prompt in there. I kind of like it sort of like, hey, I specifically want this macro lens, fantasy creature design, soft focus, magical realism, sort of all of these tags that it's come up with for me. The Vibe of Tornado is from DALL-E 2.5. Makes me wonder if they trained 2.5 on non-DALL-E architecture, but then moving DALL-E 3 and then going back to GPT-4 or going to 4o internally. Yeah, maybe. It does sort of remind me of some like older style tornadoes. I haven't played with too many like purple tornadoes to see like how it does each one, but it's pretty good. I think the kind of power of the wind isn't really demonstrated in this image, right? It's like, sorry, I didn't hit the like button before. I smashed it extra hard now. Hey, we appreciate you, Lewis. That's great. There's a daily limit to generations. Yeah, if I hit the daily limit, that's probably going to be the end of the stream, but I don't know when that'll happen. And so until then, we get to try it out and play with it. I don't know what the daily, yeah. If someone knows what the daily limit is, I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, we'll go through and count when we find out, so we have the answer at the end of this. Let's read what the portrait fantasy creature it's created for us. So this is a fluffy magical forest creature, pastel fur and sparkles, massive round glowing eyes, small stout and stubby legs, sitting in a glowing mushroom circle. The background is softly lit, bioluminescent plants and fairy lights, and then soft pinks and teal hues and a bunch of tags. So hopefully it comes up with something we like. I don't know if it's going to be better or worse or kind of what's expensive. We're experiencing heavy server load. This may slow down my generations. What does that say? It didn't finish telling me. I could have like zoomed out and tried to read it before it dismissed itself. But yeah, things might be slow. So those heavy server loads are going to happen, but we're going to stick it out together, right, y'all? I'm not sure, but I'll get my generations back in an hour, apparently. All right. It's cute. I don't think it's necessarily better than Midjourney, right? If I sort of like take this prompt here and generate it. Here, we'll do a square to be fair. Handles it, like, I think just as well. And honestly, I'm remembering what it said. Snout, a small snout and stubby legs. Like, the fact that there's sort of two legs that are more like arms and it's very owl, I'm a little disappointed in that. So I'm not sure where I want to be as far as getting this totally right, but it's cool. Let's hop over to this thing and see if we can get some inspiration for what we want to generate next. So this is obviously impressive. I recreated something similar to this, obviously without text, but you could ask the stream, you could ask ChatGPT to make a comic based on its memory of you. It's an interesting idea. I may try that. So yeah, it did okay with sort of transferring the text in the image. It sort of did okay with our like art pieces. Hey, this is images on a wall, and I think that's cool. Could you make it recreate something similar to that with a text or a logo now? Similar to which one, Mowgli? Meaningful words. So here it's like, okay, you should ask GPT to generate an image of what it thinks you look like based on all your interactions. I don't know if I have many saved memories in ChatGPT. I tend to clear it out like pretty often, so I'm not sure what it'll have for me as far as its memory. Try different poses with that creature. That's a good thing to sort of do while I look for other things. Could you create this exact same creature again, but this time it is hopping over a river? In a cute scene. Like what I'm showing on the whiteboard, thinking about how you could use this to generate mock-ups of ads or branded content. So yeah, let's try that. Let's try like a t-shirt design, and then try to get more mock-ups of that same t-shirt design, because I think that could be really interesting. Thanks for explaining what you meant. I appreciate that. So if we sort of bounce back over here, we've got sort of the ability to, hey, I've come up with something, but now I want to see sort of the front of the t-shirt, or I want to see like the logo in another context and see if we can kind of make that happen. And so I think that could be very cool. So it does sort of do this comic strip too. This is cool. A 4-panel comic strip with padding around the border, and it like carefully describes what happens in that comic strip and goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And because it's working based on location within the image, right? It sort of scrolls down like a printer. It's able to pull this off with really high fidelity. I like that. And then it calls it useful. Yada, yada. Okay. Science experiment. And yeah, this was sort of the infographic we did at the beginning. A similar infographic at a Round Cafe in Washington Square Park. Cool. Young Isaac doing the table, actually doing it without the notebook. Also cool. Yeah, so let's see if we can do this with like a t-shirt and an ad, but let's kind of see what this has come up with. Yeah, it's slow at the moment. It gave me a warning basically just saying that there's a lot of people using the servers right now. This is a really exciting update, and the fact that you're making a live stream about it doesn't mean you get special treatment and a fast version of what's going on so that everyone sees something cool. It'd be impressive if they pulled that off and figured it out and then gave me a nice bonus, and I'd appreciate that, but I guess I'm just like all you, peasant. All right, so is this going to be the exact same creature? Already, like ears are round instead of pointed. The eyes are less sparkly, less glowy, but somewhat similar. No, it's like cat-like now. So it's not really remembering what it did from one image to the next. It can't really look at an image in the same ways and pulling it off, but it's cool. It is jumping over a river. It's got stubby legs. I think what it did is it followed the description again, rather than following the actual image. One of the things that I think would be really cool, and if you sort of think about the fact that it's generating row by row, I think this is like a means to an end. I think right now, even GPT-4o, like, oh, it's an Omni model. It's really just a text label on images, and then it kind of deals with that. I made a bunch of tests back in the day, but like I was like, hey, tell me, and I labeled a cluster of points and drew like lines from each one. I'm like, tell me what where the reflex angle is. Where is this shape concave? Is it point A, B, C, D, E? And it had no idea. It knew the definition of reflex angles, and it knew like how to look for them, but it couldn't actually see it in the image because it has like an image labeling model, and then the text model is just doing things with the labels. But I think if it can sort of look at images in the same way of like, oh, the top row has this, and the second row has this, and the third row has this, and kind of work its way down and now has really clear, this is what's in this part of the image, this is what's in this part of the image, this is what's in this part of the image, I think AI vision could get a lot better and a lot more useful. If you want to demonstrate that for yourself, ask ChatGPT to like, take a picture from like a building, ask ChatGPT to tell me like how many stairs are in front of this building and what is the layout of the staircase. And it can't really do it because the image labeler is just like staircase in front of building in front of this. And if you ask it to count the stairs, like you can do it by hand in front of like a courthouse or something, but it'll never be able to be like, oh, there is 13 stairs and then a landing and then 12 more stairs. It just guesses and pretends that it knows because it thinks it's an omni model that can actually see, but the image labeler doesn't tell you. And so I would love for computer vision to kind of, or for AI vision to sort of incorporate this sort of technology so that it can figure things out like that. Like, oh, this is a step. Go down the image, this is a step. Go down the image, this is a step. And if it's working at it and thinking about it in that way, it actually knows how many steps are in the image. And then it's actually useful for things like accessibility. And I would love to see that. That would be very, very cool. Where was I? Oh, I was thinking about product. So could we generate a photo of a t-shirt with a modern logo design like a lion the t-shirt should have 3 simple stripes, purple, orange, and blue. And so it should design, and we'll do a man wearing a t-shirt with a modern logo design. And the idea is if we can sort of take what it comes up with for that logo design and use it for the next piece of the image, we would be able to kind of, in theory, right, generate the same t-shirt and the same logo design again from another angle, which would be incredibly useful if you're, creating advertisements based on these images. I am a little dubious. The fact that it couldn't do this character again in another context makes me think it probably can't do this logo situation. You could try turning the fluffy rabbit thing into the brand mascot. Yeah, I could have done that instead of a lion, but I already picked, so. This is what we're going to have to live with. So while this generates, it seems to say character consistency is a thing. So let's see how they say it does that. And if there's an echo or anything, let me know.
How's it going? Pretty good. One thing that I'm really excited about ImageN is the ability to keep consistency in characters. I'm David Medina, or DMed, and I work on multimodal. What I want to show is one of my favorite prompts, which is, can you create a low poly penguin mage? Make it very, very...
Yeah, today or yesterday or something like that.
It's sometimes hard to get very good low poly outputs. It's not like other image generation models where it tries to generate something based on just the text. Instead, it uses the large language model understanding of what does the user want, what is the intent. I also like some board.
So it's converting your prompt into something it calls intent. What they do is like retexture. It's a little different than retexture as I'm understanding it. Could you try aging a character? Yeah, I will definitely get to that. Obviously prompts are taking a while, so it might be a little bit Zachary before we get there, but aging a character is a great idea. Thanks for reminding me. So what he's saying is that intent is something the large language model is deciphering out of what you've generated. And so if we sort of think about that from the perspective of what we've been doing, and so here we've got a t-shirt, lion logo, boom, 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 and now I'd say that's great. I would like this exact same t-shirt and this exact same logo to be generated again, worn by different people and different angles. Could you start by a side-by-side 3-panel design with a landscape aspect ratio where the character, where the t-shirt is shown off in a bunch of different ways. Product photography, advertising uses. So what I asked it to do, again, because I like mumble while I type these things, but I asked it to kind of put together a 3-panel side-by-side view of this same t-shirt where it's worn by different people with different body types, but I want the t-shirt to be the same, essentially, right? The logo is the same and this is the same. And if I understand what they were saying about consistent characters, and we'll keep watching that video in a sec, but if I understand what it's saying about that, it interprets my request and then potentially makes a series of prompts, right? So the language model behind the scenes is saying, you know what, based on your intent, you have a logo that looks like X. And as a prompt, basically describing this lion logo. And it's like, clean minimalist design logo XYZ. And then while it's going through, it's like, does that logo show up here? Does a bit of it show up here? Let's look to the above and below it and figure out what to generate in this row so that it's gonna work. And then it's like, okay, and now when is this row happening? When is this row happening? When is this row happening? And it may have decided, right? I didn't say what color this t-shirt is, but it may have decided it's a white t-shirt. And it may continue to put a white t-shirt on here because it's interpreted that as useful. And now as I'm saying that, it's already purple. So it's reinterpreting my idea and not using its prompts that are the large language model interprets behind the scenes. So it seems to me to be failing to kind of follow that role, but does it keep the logo here? And so that's question number 2. And I do think, even though it keeps the logo, if it doesn't keep the logo, I think it will keep the logo across these 3 images on the 3-panel design, which gives me some hope. Could you use Midjourney and OpenAI together to boost quality and results? I think so. I'd have to think about exactly what the best workflow is. It obviously depends on the project, but I could imagine that you could generate sort of the basis of an idea here and then take it to the uploaded image editor in Midjourney and use what they've generated as a starting point or as character references, and then go to Midjourney for the more creative side of things. Google's model that lets you like work with uploaded images well could also be interesting if sort of you're looking for a hybrid workflow. This logo is not exactly the same. It's close, but I think that's sort of the thing about lion logo. It's going to figure out sort of how that works and interpret it kind of the same each time. But no, this is not keeping the intent from one generation to the next, which is unfortunate. Even though they said it would. I wonder if, yeah, they have any advice to on how to make that happen.
Miniature-like games. So what I'll do now.
Actually, before I do that, let's start my next one. This obviously not the same t-shirt, not the same logo in the same image, but not aggressively. So if we're going to try the aging character, I would definitely do that aging character as a 3-panel view so that it can be age 1, age 2, age XYZ. So let's try that. Could each panel be labeled with ages? First panel 20, second panel 40, third panel 80. And have the photo of the woman be when she is of that age. Again, these things are taking a while, so we might go back to our video. But if there is a way to sort of keep what you've done and then go back to it and keep that character consistent, I would love to see what they say about it. So yeah, you guys want to see. There you go.
Now is generate a miniature from this. So ideally we'll see a penguin that looks like this with the same staff and a hat. So can you make me a realistic miniature as if a professional made this and painted it? This is what I think excites me the most about Midjourney. The other image generation models will try to create literally what you said, but what's special about this is, one, it'll keep the context of this character, and then two, it'll understand what I'm trying to ask it for and generate very similar.
So did this just work because it's so simple? And it described it accurately enough? So let's go find his original prompt again. Can you create a low poly image of a penguin?
Very, very low poly. Surprisingly, it's sometimes hard to get very good low poly outputs. It's not like other image.
This little guy is rocking. Okay, so he came up with Penguin Wizard, and then ChatGPT explained the details of that Penguin Wizard, and then it's using those same details. So it's ChatGPT's, hey, you've got a wizard hat, you've got a magic staff with a crystal on top, and now it uses this text to help
some board games. We'll see a
guide the result again.
Staff and a hat. So can you make me a realistic miniature as if a professional made this and painted it? This is what I think excites me the most about Midjourney. The other image generation models will try to create literally what you said, but what's special about this is, one, it'll keep the context of this character, and then two, it'll
keep the context of this character. That's just like not happening, right? I'm just not seeing that be the case here.
Understand what I'm trying to ask it for and generate very similar model, but in a miniature realistic style. It infers what I want. I don't have to tell it every little detail. One other realistic thing we could do is, can you make a crystal version of this with light reflecting and very realistic? Again, I'm just giving a very, very simple thing.
Yeah, so this sort of looks like retexture, but I don't think it, maybe it happens to handle it like maybe it has a feature like retexture, So will it sort of retexture this? That's kind of my question now. Will it keep this same girl, this same girl, this same girl in the ages? It looks kind of reasonable, like the ages are, like she's aging like this, but again, it's not really sufficient unless it can keep the t-shirt. Hey, I'd like this exact same t-shirt, an exact logo to be generated again, worn by different people in different angles. And it's not even doing different people. Well, like, you know, it's obviously not the same person from a character consistency perspective. His beard is different. His arms are different, etc. But, and not like that's kind of all we have. But these three are kind of the same person, the same body type. So it's really not interpreting my intention behind here and figuring it out. So there's something clunky going on behind the scenes, and it'd be cool to figure out what that is. Yep.
Normally, this is not enough for other models to generate something very detailed, but excites me the most about Midjourney.
So this penguin must be simple enough that it can keep, hey, I am penguin character wearing a wizard's hat, holding a staff with a crystal in my right hand. And it's pulling that off. Looks like it's this, looks like it's this. Do you want to see different lighting, poses, maybe a 360 view, and then kind of handles that. But it's not really going any deeper than, hey, this text description of my guy is kind of redone in this new way. And so if we sort of watch that little montage
One
again.
other realistic thing we could do is, can you make a crystal version of this with light reflecting and very realistic? Again, I'm just...
So yeah, it's holding it in its left hand. It's got the crystal staff and a wizard's hat.
Giving a very, very simple thing.
And
normally...
it's going so fast. This one, it's sort of the same vibe, but again, it's very simplified. Its hat, it's always doing that sort of swoop of its hat in a little bit different ways. I don't know. Like, I think Midjourney retexture would solve this just as well. But I would have loved to see consistent characters on a more complicated situation. Text rendering, we've seen and I trust. Upload and restyle, is that happening?
Hello, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, I promised to go back and look at this. All right. Character 1, character 2, character 3, same character, 3 ages. Yeah, I'm not convinced it's doing anything from image to image. Like, it didn't even keep the format, right? It's sort of, this is on a black bar. It's put a black bar at the bottom, but the text is not in it.
I feel the ability of the image generation of this model is becoming stronger and stronger. My name is Lu. I'm a research scientist in OpenAI working on multimodal. Yeah, I'm showing a very interesting demo today. So just in this studio, this is something that we draw. Many people use our tool to generate comic books. So I'm going to upload this drawing to ChatGPT now. So I just type this prompt now and it starts to generate what will this drawing look like.
Okay. That's not necessarily the same, right? It's interpreting
many of the times,
the image as text and then turning that into a prompt and then bringing that back to GPT-4o.
Model more and more, you'll find things very surprising. So I get this very funny comic now. I want to replace this dragon with this cutie penguin. Yeah, it looks nice.
Okay. Again, like I think the text that describes this image is kind of using, is the new upload feature on Midjourney available for everyone? If not, when? Yeah, unfortunately, I think, and I know this isn't really the point of this, I think the editor is kind of, I don't want to click manage subscription on the stream here. Let me go like this and then see. I just want to make sure that I don't show anything I shouldn't be showing. That's fine. Okay, so unfortunately, it seems like monthly billing doesn't let everyone use it, and they've just decided that that's going to be how it is. To prevent misuse, the Midjourney editor is only available to users with a yearly subscription. I don't really understand how that prevents misuse. It seems like it's an incentive to buy the yearly subscription, but yeah, that's kind of what it decided. And then on yearly building, all of these plans do. So if you think about this, this is $8 a month, but you have to buy 12 months, so it's $96 in order to access the uploaded images. And in context here, you can upload images, right? So let's sort of take one. Could you create a comic starring this girl starring this character, make it funny. And so this is from the mood board I was working on in the last live stream a couple days ago. And I just went to my downloads and dragged something. But does it really use this context and bring it into the image, or is it labeling this image using sort of the regular GPT-4o image analysis and then taking this information like, oh, brown hair girl with a orange shirt and, you know, denim shorts. And then it's like, okay, now make my comic with that context in here. And I think that's what it's going to decide to do. Let me get off of this tab so I don't confuse myself later. Detailed directions is, I think, the winner from this model, though. I'm really impressed with how well it's been following kind of complicated ideas when you write them out. I'm not sure it's doing enough behind the scenes to describe your image sufficiently so that you can actually go from one idea to the next, to the next, to the next. And it seems like it's not holding any images in the background. With accurately colorizing black and white images. I'm happy to try that. I just imagine that like Midjourney's retexture will do better, because from what I'm seeing, it's not really taking the uploaded image into here. So if I take this back, and this is still taking forever. But we can go into Midjourney and make ourselves a black and white photo of a politician in India from the 18th century. So this is like, a black and white image that we're going to use. And let's bring this aspect ratio to landscape, and let's He's standing in a crowd of people holding his hands out wildly. And I meant to, and I'll say gesturing. And so now we take an image like this, and is this ready for me? Yes. And so it seems like behind the scenes, that ChatGPT, it seems that if you're a Plus subscriber, you get 50 images every 3 hours. All right, I might be getting somewhat close to that, but we still have a little ways to go. And yeah, I am a Plus subscriber. I do not have Pro, so this is our life. But I do want to try, and let me make sure I download this, come over here and drag in our downloaded image. Could you please colorize this old photo for me? And see if it's able to kind of pull that off. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Fizzy. And I think everyone else does too. It's nice to sort of know what that limit is going to be. Did you end up counting just like all the images you generated and seeing how many it ended up being when they rate blocked you? Have you tried editing images of yourself yet? No, I have not. I could do sort of real photos of me, but it seems easy enough to just work with AI generated images for now. And I think it's interesting. What have they got going on here? So city street pole cover, numerous and detailed signs, including a few ridiculous signs in the middle. Paraphrase it to make these legitimate street signs. Broom parking for witches not permitted in Zone C. Reindeer parking by permit only, December 4th and 24th and 25th. The signpost is on the right of the street. Do not repeat signs. Signs must be realistic. That's a funny creation, best of 8, so they had to regenerate many times sort of get something this good, but that's a good answer to this kind of scene. A menu. I'm opening a traditional concept restaurant in Marin called Hain. It focuses on Korean food cooked with organic, farm-fresh ingredients. With a rotating menu based on what's seasonal, I want you to design an image menu incorporating the following items. Lean into a traditional rustic style while keeping it upscale and sleek. Please also include illustrations of each dish in an elegant Peter Rabbit style. Has it improved logo design or logo variations from an uploaded picture? It seemed like logo was all right. I haven't really gone deep into it yet because it's so slow. But okay, this is actually dealing with our uploaded image. So that's helpful, I think. It must be, right? It's a little bit more than just like, I think the shadows on this part, like it's a deeper shadow on here. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it seems super slow indeed. I agree. What are these lines? I don't know if that comes across on screen, but they're like weird lines appearing. Cool. But we can sort of try this. I'm just kind of seeing some inspiration on like what it's come up with. This photo of a delightful wedding invitation. The card is hefty with eggshells, with elegant desire used sparingly. You're cordially divided in the union of image and text. What? I don't know why they like this. Oh, the union of image and text. Image and text is getting married after years of flirting, collaboration. Got you. That's their bit. Okay. Dress code, pixels or prose. Hilarious. All right. Multi-turn generation. Because image generation is now native, you can refine images through natural conversation. You can build upon images in tag or chat, ensuring consistency throughout. Give this cat a hat and a monocle. All right, let's play with that. Let's see if I can find an image of me and use that. It really did it. Okay, so maybe the consistent character thing. So what about this didn't work that they're able to get right? So yeah, the t-shirt is kind of the same. The shorts are kind of the same. Obviously they added like a button. But the style has changed, so it hasn't sort of followed my style. And the girl seems like a very different age. I don't know, sort of the background. I feel so free. Wait, is that a mole? Ah, it's a mole. Hilarious. It's a mole joke. All right. It may be forcing pictures of people to not be that consistent because it doesn't want to make the same exact one. So this, yeah, it's not perfect, is it? As I'm like squinting at this and seeing it happen, I'm not totally impressed with oh, interesting. So you're getting better results by using the selection editor and uploading reference photos and styles in the GPT. So if I take something like, and I'm just scrolling through my downloads for something good, maybe I could grab a picture of me, assets, images, me. Okay, so I need a Pixar-style character inspired after me. And so if I simply drag an image into here, we get something a little funky, right? So it may not really pull this off. But yeah, up here, it's like really using the image. So sometimes we're able to trigger it, and sometimes we're not able to trigger it actually going through and using it. Because like here, I didn't use the like editor piece. I said, take this image and edit it, zoom out, reframe, do this, and it was able to kind of change the aspect ratio and fix the things that were missing. And so that was like, if you guys are here, you clicked on this thumbnail and it pulled it off. But when we kind of uploaded this, it's not using her face from here. But maybe if we specifically asked it to, hey, I would like you to take this girl's face and use it 3 times, slightly rotated, or like something like this, describe kind of like how we'd want it to transfer, and kind of get it to come about that way, we may be able to figure that out. Not sure. Free pick? No, I have not really played around with free pick. I've seen some images off of it, and I don't know if it's really, like, if it was kind of enough to impress me in the way that I wanted to kind of move up. But so this is trying to do me, right? So does it take my face and Pixarify it in a nice way? It's promising. It's one of the better, like, keep my likenesses and change the style, right? Because retexture wouldn't pull this off, right? It wouldn't keep looking like me. Or like it would keep looking like my exact dimensions, and it kind of would have trouble piecing it together so that it was sort of the same. What do you have the ability? Do you think he has the ability to be restoring an old picture? This was pretty close. I don't think like the person is the same anymore, right? Like it sort of went line by line. It's like, this is how much hand I have, and this is how much sky I have, and it sort of figured it out and figured it out and figured it out. But if you sort of look at like the shape of his face, it doesn't really seem to be him any longer. This isn't a bad answer as far as like how Pixar-y you might want to do. And so now what I'm going to try to do, right? And I'm going to describe this like an edit, because I think I've been saying, hey, generate X, generate Y, generate T. But now I'd like, hey, I would like a reframe on this scene to try to keep this character. Could you zoom out, keeping this exact character in the image, but now I would like a three-panel side-by-side view of this character making the same, making different expressions. And I'm actually going to copy this and include it in my request, trying to force it to actually do it. The Pixar Glymetry, you like it? You like it? I do too. You know, like, I don't think I would necessarily like design myself with my face that round. Maybe it's fair. I don't know. Is my face kind of round? Maybe. You know, like, I think it's interpreting me in a way that, like, is sort of fun and jolly. I think it's older than I am. I am 26. He looks kind of, I don't know, 30, 35. But yeah, like, I think it's reasonable. Like, I would definitely prefer this to kind of a random thing. This is the first video I've seen of you, and I'm curious to know more about what you create and share here. Who are you, and what kind of content can viewers expect to find? Yeah, I've been, your face is not that round. Yeah, it's bang on. Fair enough, Anubis. But yeah, like, I have been interested in generative AI for a long time. I started this channel actually playing AI Dungeon, and so I was like, I thought actually GPT-3 was very cool and like kind of technology that I wanted to like experience. And I saw like 2-minute papers make a video about GPT-3, but it wasn't available for anyone to access. And so I was like, oh, how do I play with this? Because it seems cool. I want to see what AI is able to do. And the only place that I could do, the playground wasn't something you could subscribe to. It was like closed beta, but AI Dungeon Latitude had this like inside track. They have API access to GPT-3. And I was like, oh, I want to use it. And this is, and I like play around with it. And that's sort of how I started my channel, was like, hey, I can make this happen with GPT-3. I can make this happen with GPT-3. And I made some videos about that. 2 Minute Papers is a great channel. Absolutely true. I've been watching them for a long, long time. And I was like, okay, they eventually AI Dungeon like had a little AI art thing in their system. They called it AI Dungeon 2D. And that was sort of my first video that kind of blew up a little. And it was like, I was like, how does this work? AI Dungeon is now 2D. And it like included pictures with the thing. It was very early days. It was like kind of gross pixel art that didn't really make sense. It was pre-AI art and a long time ago. And then I kind of like pieced things together. And how's this generating? Pretty reasonable. It squashed it a little, which maybe helps, maybe doesn't. But this is really, okay, I think we're getting on a path where this is the same character. Anyhow, I was doing AI Dungeon. I like showed off this thing, and no one else had like made a video on it because AI Dungeon is sort of niche. And a bunch of people in AI Dungeon was like, what is this 2D thing? Should I subscribe for it? And I had access to it. And I was like, oh, this is what it does. This is how it works. And it seems like they have a bunch of stored images. They're not generating them on the fly, XYZ. And eventually they came out with like a disco diffusion usage. And I'm like, ooh, here's some cool things you can do with that, and cool things you can do with language models, and cool things you can do with this. And I've been like really trying to take these things as far as they can go. And I've been doing that since the very early days of AI is kind of the piece of this. Recently, I've been doing AI art. I think Midjourney is very, very cool and is one of the most impactful AI image generators as far as like what are the cool things you can get out of it. But I'm just, a guy who's been testing these things and trying it out and figuring out what's cool, what's possible, and what doesn't really work so well. And a lot of people come to the channel really for help with using AI art for like real use cases. I think some people are trying to tell stories. Some people are trying to make like advertisements and commercial things. And some people are trying to like get these like really consistent characters or, really effective things out of AI for some specific reason. And if you're doing something that is about a tool that I've been playing around with, I try to get you closer to your goals in that way. And so I'm like, hey, how do you do consistent characters? What do the workflows look like? How do these come together? And I make videos for that. And I know that's a sort of a long-winded story to answer your question of like, what is sort of the flow of what this channel is. Part of the answer is I'm still figuring it out. I think things will continue to change and evolve. And I think the landscape of AI experiences is cool. I also think Gen AI in general has like taken advantage of artists a little bit. And is that okay? And I'm not really going to be the person who can solve that problem, but I try to be like on top of this stuff and trying to make the coolest things I can and try not to like take advantage of people while I do it. And that's sort of the goal, and kind of having you guys along for the ride is fun and cool too. So speaking of consistent characters, this kept this character pretty well. Could you zoom out even more and do a full body design for this character? And now put 5 characters next to each other, side by side. I'm curious how far this can go. Oh, I meant to download this and use it again, because I think it literally took this and it was just like, it ended up being squashed and turning orange a little bit. Oh, no. Is GPT-4 available only on paid accounts? No, it is not. Sorry, your name is No. I said no to you. It's available for everyone except, and we've answered this question a couple times, but it's good to kind of, anyone who's just coming now, good for them to know that. It's available to anyone who has a Plus, Pro, Team, or free account. That means if you have like an account with your work or with your school, it's not going to be on those accounts yet, probably because they have like privacy or some other concern that they don't really want to roll it out to those people who are paying lots of money for lots of users to be able to access it at this point. But just about everyone else, if you like have your own ChatGPT account, then yes, this is kind of how it works. Well, all the jokes make themselves. They absolutely do. So yeah, I wonder how well it can do, right? Like, hey, I want to see better and I want to squash them even more so they like all fit in the image. And I think it might be able to pull it off. Little concerned that it's square. I think we still need a landscape mode aspect ratio to kind of make this happen. All right. It's a reasonable size for the head, and compared to a diffusion model in this moment, that's a good answer. Yeah, it's not quite consistent, but you could see how you can get kind of enough to train a LoRa with something like this. Or, you know, get C-refs for something like Midjourney and get kind of closer to your character design. Excuse me. Where does Stable Diffusion come into play, ranked compared to Midjourney and 4o? I think Stable Diffusion is cool that it's free and available to anyone who like has like you can download it on a local machine and you don't need that powerful of a computer to run it. I think it's not that smart and not that pretty. And so it doesn't have any, I don't think it wins in any area, which is unfortunate, right? It's cool to have an open source model. It's cool that it's like good enough to do a lot of things, but I'm often disappointed by just the quality of the images that come out of it. I said LoRa, the word LoRa earlier, which is based on Stable Diffusion architecture, and it's the idea that you can train a character and bake it into a Stable Diffusion model so it can generate images of that character relatively consistently, and it's cool to be able to do that. This would have worked great if they were all just actually on the side. Currently, my free account, don't see it yet. Are you using a paid account? Yes, I am on a paid account. This is a ChatGPT Plus, so I'm not Pro. I'm on the $20 a month version, and I haven't tried it for free. So I'm sorry that's not working. You know, it's not really obvious that it's happening. Like on GPTs, it's still the old DALL-E 3. On ChatGPT, if you choose GPT-4o, which has existed for a while, if you choose this one, it doesn't really tell you that it's happening, but it is sort of behind the scenes. Oh, you're now like using this image model. So I don't know if that helps you find it or able to see it, but yeah, I wish Stable Diffusion was better because it does support a lot of these kind of bonus and interesting features that people have developed. And the fact that it's open source means a lot of people can help and work on cool things. But yeah, it kind of comes at that cost of, hey, I don't really know if it's ever that good as far as like what are the actual images you're generating. It's really hard to get compelling images compared to like Midjourney, where I can develop a mood board and be like, you know what, I really want images in this cool like magical realism style. Here, let's open the personalization in this cool like magical realism style where it looks like a person and it's painted but it has this nice vibe, or a Pixar style that looks really high quality. It's painful and a lot of work to get something that is like style locked in anything that isn't photorealistic, and it's painful to kind of get the image that you wanted. It's not handling prompts that well. Okay, I'm a clodder lol, so I'm losing my religion. That's funny. So yeah, that's kind of my answers to that. I would have liked to see all of these be really side by side. Here, copy. Can you make the aspect ratio rectangular again? And put a clean border on the outside of your images, on the outside of your characters, so they don't get cut off. Do you know any software that can take CREFs and animate them linked, lip synced to audio? There's a few that animate, that like lip sync from a starting image. I'm not sure they do it from CREFs so much, but you could definitely like go to take your CREFs, generate something in Midjourney, and then kind of go from there. I tried using Hedra, but the lip sync was brutal. But the output had high potential. Interesting. I think we're a few ways away from being our own Pixar studio. It'd be cool. Yeah, I don't know if there's much that's like even better than Hedra. A lot of them are older models that like kind of do something pretty close, and you know, like the head rocks. I think Runway on its own is cool, right? The idea that you can use like Act 1 to be expressive and it'll follow your own face is cool. So if you take CREFs, you generate a Midjourney image and in the scene that you want, and then actually like act out like on your webcam, and then use that video to guide the lip sync. I think that can be some of the best results in my experience. But yeah, here, I want to finish this request here. Could you make the aspect ratio rectangular and put a clean border on the outside of your characters so they don't get cut off? Also, this time make his flannel a gray knitted sweater. See, I'm trying to make it be what I'm wearing. And I uploaded this picture again, just to remind people where we're kind of at. It seems to be doing something with it, but I'm not sure how painful. But I think in the prompt, describing how you want to edit the image is better than saying, generate again, but this time instead do this. And so if I wanted to put myself into a scene, I would probably do something like, could you take this image and remove the background, putting me on a tall tower with a beautiful view of, who knows, let's say London. I haven't called it out in a little bit, and we did jump up to 31 likes on the live stream. I want to thank all 31 of you who have liked the videos so far. It's really awesome. I see there's 31 viewers and 31 likes right now. Every single one of you. I don't know how you pulled that off. But yeah, thank you so much for hitting the like button. It helps people find the live stream, and it's great to have you here. So I obviously can't send this until this is done. So we are sort of in waiting mode, but here now we have a wide aspect ratio of this image based on me. So if you're just getting here, it's kind of 1, 2, and then we sort of took this and I said, make it 3x3 standing side by side, a 3-panel view, and now zoom out and do 5 characters, and now go from here and do the border, and it generates kind of row by row like a printer. And that's able to kind of keep that high quality and keep a lot of the details that you liked and piece it together. So I asked for a gray, make his flannel a gray knitted sweater instead, and I generated this scene here. Amazing. Is it cheap? According to their announcement, it's available for free users. I don't know how many you can access as free, but this image generation is going to Plus users, Pro users, Team users, and free users starting yesterday, I guess. I don't know if it was like midnight or when the announcement had, but I didn't see that this existed until today, at least in my ChatGPT. And so I tried it this morning, and then I started live streaming so you guys could try it with me because it's fun. They have some cool, impressive images out here. Create. And you can get down to a lot of detail. Yeah, that is the same Pixar character. I'm sort of losing things in here. Watching you for an hour, had tea and now dinner and still watching you. Thank you, Raz. I appreciate having you here, hanging out. It's fun. This is cool stuff, isn't it? It's three images a day for free now. Okay, yeah, so that's not very many of this cool stuff, but if you're careful about what you're asking for, you can get some cool things. And here, let me try sending this. Okay, let me refresh. Let me copy this, refresh here so that we can see it again. And let's add our image back and now try sending it. Sorry, it broke. Yeah, 3 images per day for free is not very many, but there are lots of, it's very powerful. So find 3 to 5 friends and share an account. Yeah, I think you need a phone number, which makes it painful to have multiple accounts. But the fact that it can go so detailed, putting, hey, this is a quality griffin where you have talons in the front, you have lion's body, lion's tail, eagle wings, and eagle head, and it pieces all that together and then also has text and points at something and points at something and points at something. And the fact that you can sort of follow all of these details to explain the water cycle. Obviously, this is the large language model working behind the scenes to sort of, how do you explain the water cycle? But this image kind of gets you there. And then this was sort of the challenging one that I wrote a lot of detail to kind of make it happen. And I was like, I want a photorealistic scene where an artist is drawing a painting of the Eiffel Tower at sunset. So this is what the painting is of, but out his window is the Statue of Liberty, and he is hanging out in an art studio. His art studio is clean and modern, and he has a bunch of paintings hanging up, including a tree that's growing out of ice and an owl under the northern lights, and it's able to do all of these pieces. So 3 a day sounds like, yeah, I know you'd probably like more, but the idea that you can do this and do this and do this and keep all of these things going together and getting it right is pretty compelling even for just 3. So I'm not super disappointed by that. This is obviously taking a while. It works hard. It goes row by row. And in some ways, a little row here is a little bit like an image, right? So here, it's hopefully going to be more consistent because I described it like an edit, right? And so this is what I'm hoping is kind of the workflow to get consistent transfer when you're generating an image is, hey, can you take this image, remove the background, putting me on a tall tower with a beautiful view of London instead of where I was in this room standing in the corner taking a selfie of myself. Well, is that your LinkedIn profile? It should be. I have not made a LinkedIn. I probably should, but I live my life without dealing with things like that. It's not quite me, so it's not literally editing this here, but I think it's understanding me better than a lot of my other attempts to sort of understand the look and feel of a character and generate them again. So I think it's close. I think we're getting there. Yeah, I am not disappointed. It's like, it had me tilt my head up for a better image, which is kind of a reasonable thing to do. got tower bridge, has some of the cool things in the skyline. I think this building's actually on the other side. Was it able to generate a half full glass of wine? I generated a full glass of wine because that's typically harder. I don't like a half full glass of wine is a regular glass of wine. So I'm not sure what that test is. This is what downloading an image over a modem used to look like, right? It's sort of funny that it's sort of coming down like that. Oh, generate or download the first row, download the second row, download the third row. But now it's actually create the first row, create the second row, create the third row. Yeah, maybe OpenAI doesn't want exact reproduction of people due to legal issues. I think that's possible, though. It's pretty good for someone who's something that's trying to not copy someone perfectly. This is the same shirt. This is the same flannel pattern. This is the same eye color, the same little hair swoosh, the same. I don't remember the wine glass test makes sense. Yeah, like a half full one is kind of what it regularly looks like. The full one is what that viral video, I forget the Alex O'Connor made his video about how ChatGPT used to struggle with this, but now kind of working row by row, it's able to solve this, right? Because it thinks about, hey, if it's a full wine glass, the large language model thinks about what exists here, and then what exists here, and then what exists here. Oh, you need a brim? Great. Now you're under the brim. Should I see wine or glass? And it's just working on this part of the image, and the large language model can figure that out. Should I see wine or glass here? Should I see wine and glass here? And then keep going down till eventually it sort of swoops back into place, and it's able to solve everything correctly. Try turning yourself into a Pixar character? Yeah, we just sort of did that one. So I was like, hey, this is me. Now create a Pixar character inspired by me. And this is what that Pixar character looks like. And then I was like, can you zoom out, keeping this exact character in the image? And it squashed me a little, but it was mostly the same design and gave me 3 expressions. And that sort of worked. And then I wanted you to zoom out even more and put 5 characters next to each other, but it put it in a square aspect ratio, so it didn't fit. So I was like, take this, zoom out again, and fix it so that all of these, and then also give me a gray sweater instead of the flannel, which I was wearing because, I don't know, I'm wearing a gray sweater right now, so this seems more useful. And I asked it to give the border around it, and now all 5 copies of the character actually fit. And so now I was trying editing, seeing if it really keeps me in this scene. And it's pretty good. Like, it sort of added a scar instead of kind of what it used to be. Really like the hands-on live stream when a new AI product is announced. Yeah, I think this is fun. It's been fun having you guys. I haven't done a lot of these recently. I used to do more, but it's cool to kind of, talk to you guys about what the uses are right now while we're still like thinking about what it is, and kind of hearing your feedback and being able to share mine and really play around with like what can it do, what can it do, what's actually working and what's not. If it works row by row, I wonder if we can generate a sideways full glass of wine. Next one should be Midjourney 7. Let's try a sideways full glass of wine. I did this upside down and it got confused, though I did ask it for the wine to actually be goo like honey, which might have been too much. But yeah, the next one should be Midjourney 7. I am hoping so. Any day now, right? Right? Yeah. They've been teasing Midjourney 7 for months and months and months and months, and I would love to play with it. I just haven't had a chance yet. Revealing that, yeah, so let's say this time, can we, and it seems willing, their description of it, and it might not have been in this announcement, but it seems like it does something like it goes row, like it does both. It goes down like a printer and side by side and tries to figure out where sort of each thing at each coordinate is going to be. And it just visualizes it that way for us in the site, but it's unclear to me what is really happening. So I'm curious if a sideways thing has more trouble. What is expected for Midjourney 7? So might be today if all this stuff has lit a fire under David's ass. Yeah. Midjourney version 7, the number one most exciting thing to me is it sounds like they're supposed to replace what we sort of have as character reference, and maybe it's character reference and this, with something they call omni-reference, which in theory is supposed to let us generate the same character using a reference image, but also generate the same object in different conditions using an object reference or this omni reference, and then also be able to do the background and get the same background under new conditions. And just because you've like uploaded it, and I don't know what exactly it'll look like if you have to like pick out of your omni reference what kind of reference you're using or how that might work, or it just uses context to figure out how that works. It sounds cool. The number two most exciting thing is I think they're trying to have kind of a real-time generation version. I think it's going to be not quite as high quality as their regular one, but the idea is you start typing a prompt and in half a second you get, or maybe 1 second, you get a generation. And that will be very cool for Midjourney to be able to do that. And the idea is it's not as high quality as version 7 will be at the full thing, but it's going to, even that instant generation version is hopefully going to be better than version 6.1 is. So having that kind of like, oh, I'm improving, and I can use that improvement to kind of go from there and like generate immediately. And then if I care even more about how good the generation is, then we can kind of use the sort of longer generation model and sort of like turbo mode versus super fast mode versus relaxed mode. They're going to add this kind of instant mode that lowers quality but goes really, really, really fast. So fingers crossed that comes out soon and that it's as good as they say. And then I think the last thing about version 7 that is cool is basically just that the model will be better. And I think that sort of every Midjourney model that has come out has been improved in some way. And, you know, whether it's like text or hands or eyes or sort of like distant objects looking good or kind of whatever it is, it's just improved. And that would be very nice. So that's kind of where we're sitting here. And so now it's like, okay, we have this right now. We'll have version 7 hopefully soon, and we'll find out. But this is pretty good for a model that it seems like is not actually like literally editing this image and dragging my face into here. It is sort of recreating it. But describing it like an edit seemed to be a good way to really keep a lot of the details. And it's figuring that out. I wonder if we can do that with sort of a stylized portrait too. So let's take something from the other day. And instead of generate a 4-panel comic, I want to take this dog and I want to copy him 4 times and then change the scene. A 2x2 4-panel grid where this dog is in 3, or is in all of the panels. And I'll say copied in. So this dog is copied in all of the panels. And what I want to see is, I'm going to do a 2x2 4-panel grid where this dog is copied in all of the panels and keep the art style, but change the season in each one. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Midjourney 7 release date 2026. Oh no! They keep promising and it keeps not coming through. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. The original image is summer, so you can just keep that one in there if you want. And see if we can kind of make that happen. Obviously, it continues to take a while, but this is a nice art style. You know, obviously I was working on the mood board a couple days ago, but I sort of like how this dog turned out, sort of being like a very realistic, but you know, at least anatomically, like the proportions of the things in this art style seem very like, hey, that could really have existed. It's like something that was painted based on a photo, which I like the feeling of. And so this could have been a photo of a dog that then was painted over, and I think it'll work well with Midjourney's retexture, but obviously right now we're looking at this and I think it's coming along well. Midjourney may release an inferior version 7 due to the pressure of the community and AI competitors. Yeah, so I guess what I would like more than it quickly is it good. So I hope they take the time to do something that's actually intentionally high quality and meets the standards that they said it would. And if it takes them sort of restructuring things or training something again, and that's what it takes, that's going to be okay. Because I'd rather it come later than have it come bad. I prefer better quality over fast. Yeah. You know, I think some people really value fast generations, and I can imagine for like a live stream, I'd really appreciate sort of speed, right? Like, you know, if I'm hanging out on a live stream trying to accomplish X, Y, or Z, and I want you guys to sort of see what's going on, a kind of real-time generation. I know you probably mean quality model coming later rather than quality image over fast image in real-time generation. But I think when I'm actually generating stuff, I sometimes value speed because I'm like trying to iterate on an idea, and I sometimes value quality more because I'm trying to like make something really cool. And so sometimes one, sometimes the other. This, and just because I'm like evaluating this next to this dog is not quite the same. Like, I think he's like skinnier and taller and sort of working in this way. But and now it didn't do 2x2 4-panel grid. It did 6, which I'm not sure. It like added 2 bonus images in here. This is why I think it's faking going row by row to like demonstrate it. It like looks like it's getting close and then it jumps to being done, and that wouldn't happen if it was actually generating that in real time. And so it's just visualizing that a little bit. Maybe it's sending real data partway through and showing you these are ones that are done, but it should never jump to the bottom if it was really happening like that. And so I think it's a little bit of trickery going on. And I think it's probably a mix of sometimes I go down, up, and down. But it seems like these 4 images in here are the same season, number 1. Winter and fall obviously look different, but I would like to see something for spring that was different than for summer. Just like any other design, it made a point to kind of do that. And then, yeah, it took this dog and then copied this exact thing over and over again, but it didn't really match this, nor did it really match the art style. Obviously, like, Midjourney is really good at this sort of painterly style and did a compelling job at how this looks And it seems like GPT-4o is not as good at kind of making something feel painted and like it could be sort of hyper real or like drawn from a reference that was a picture. But I think it's cool. I just wish it didn't kind of piece there. No one expects perfect, but releasing a model prematurely due to public pressure is problematic. I'd agree with that. I think we would like for it to be released at the right time when they're ready and when it's going to be good. My main argument is perfect is the enemy of good in certain cases. I don't want a Cyberpunk 2077 with version 7 but still it's been over a year. Yeah. I think in some ways though, version 6.1 is like hitting the edges of what diffusion can do. And the fact that GPT-4o, the fact that OpenAI decided to approach generating differently, not do sort of an entire diffusion of an entire image, and instead work row by row and thinking about it with a language model going, ooh, what is this part of the image supposed to look like? What is this part of the image supposed to look like? And include context and figure out how to kind of work your way down an image and correct things until you get it right. Seems worth it. Someone said that editing has been effective, so I kind of want to erase some of these that are the same and have it continue to generate more scenes for my dog with this sort of edit situation. Panels with new scenes because I don't want any repetition. The top right, the dog should be standing in front of a castle. I'll say walking. Middle left, the dog be howling in front of the moon. Bottom left, should be leaping into a river from a dock. Same art style. Excuse me. And then I am going to kind of do what somebody suggested to get a more consistent dog and upload the dog again now. Though I may get a little closer up. Not that I think this is that different, but I want to sort of take these details and copy this dog when I'm talking about the edit to try to get consistency and see if this does better. Because if it does, that would be a pretty cool game changer as far as getting consistent characters. If you can generate something and then literally in the built-in editor here, make the change that you want to make. So they've showed off detailed directions, transparent layers, a white. I've been playing around with this for so long and I have not seen this option. Hang on.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Good, good. How's it going?
Oh, you guys want to see the whole thing. Sorry about that.
My name is Jianfeng Wang. I'm a researcher in OpenAI working on multimodal. The way how to generate the transparent image is pretty intuitive, straightforward. Now let's give it a try. Let's say the content is cute, happy, cartoon style, squared size. This is the prompt, and Now let's see what happened. The model will take the input and tries to generate the image. Let's give it some time. So now let's see what we generated. This is the transparent puppy.
Cool.
Another application is to make it a sticker. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, let's make stickers.
We can easily overlay the transparent image onto any kind of
Okay, we're going to be
background.
trying this.
Now-
We're going to be trying this next. I think getting transparent images out of this is very cool too. Let's think about a cool use for transparent images that we like. I can bounce back here, see how this is going. But I'm hoping, just a reminder from where we were, I'm hoping that this sort of does what we asked, right? Top right, the dog should be walking in front of a castle. Middle left, the dog should be howling in front of the moon. Bottom left, the dog should be leaping in front of a dock. But also, it should be hopefully closer to this dog for this. And that's already a little better. I think he was like shorter and fatter then, and now he's like gotten sort of the skinny vibes that we want to see. It's not perfect, but I don't know. I think it might be better than Midjourney would be with just a CREF of a dog in this moment. So I am not disappointed by that. Cool. And so this is now different, and we've got our castle in the background. This one howling in front of the moon. Now do we get a different pose? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, good quality howl. Oops. What happened to... Right, when I edited this, I'm pretty sure I left this guy like this, but this guy was just redone. So we should have seen kind of the... Huh. I guess it's not as clean as simply letting in-painting happen and locking in anything about your character. That's unfortunate. I do want to try transparency. So let's do... I don't know. I like characters. Let's do a... Could you make a... Let's do a logo, actually. A logo on a transparent background. So I'm going to grab my current YouTube channel logo and see if we can kind of piece these things together. Assets. So this is my current logo. Make a logo on a transparent background. Could it be inspired by this logo, but make it much more model and have the word Glibetry on it? So we're kind of thinking about what that might look like on sort of another phase of the design. So obviously this is like a tree, or a tree where there's a face kind of carved into that tree and the glowing blue eyes. And so I wonder how it sort of handles color, how it handles kind of keeping the like brand information about our logo but reimagining the style. And so I think this could be a cool test while dealing with transparency and having text on a transparent background, which I think could be cool as well. So we'll see what comes out of that one. And I want to keep watching this because it may let you like stack things.
We can copy the sticker onto our laptop and then we can paste it here. Make it smaller. So it can be easy.
Oh, so this is, you're doing that yourself in like a photo editor.
You sure?
That seems reasonable.
A smart researcher wearing glasses and a blue shirt.
Okay. Let's give it a try.
With glasses.
Sticker still, yeah, with glasses. Oh, we got it. Yeah, I think it works.
And so now it's
pretty
willing to
well.
put this sticker on a laptop, and it's pretty compelling. But or you're able to do that in a photo editor. It's not doing that for you. Still cool.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Okay, what else haven't I understood that it's able to do? Text rendering, we know. This was kind of dealing with, this was the consistent character one.
Hello, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Detailed directions we've sort of looked at. Okay, I think that's most of the ones that we've played around with. So concrete poem. Yeah, so it keeps the poem the same and explains the layout of the poem in a, like, hey, this is a moving way to describe something, which is sort of fun. Show this card in designer's room, and you can keep the card and do that, and it's able to really do a pretty good job at that. Okay. So I don't think this is a transparent background at all. Oh, it is. Okay. So I have to take this into, to like actually see him well, but let's sort of open Word maybe. Okay. Here, we'll like, while this is loading, we'll pull this up so that I don't dox myself for any reason. All right. New. There we go. Yeah, this is not bad. Hang on. That's pretty compelling for like, hey, this is Glibetry. This is a modern version of the logo, sort of keeping what I have. I haven't adjusted colors in maybe the way I want, but it's a pretty cool image and pretty effective as far as kind of what I was describing. I don't mind this at all. It's neat. All right, let's pull Chrome back up. Is there anything else I want to kind of play around with? New York Times with no people, vehicles, illuminated billboards. Saying no is often hard for AI models, but it doesn't surprise me that it's able to figure that out, because the language model, when it's going kind of row by row, should be able to kind of piece its way down and figure out, oh, what goes here? They should make sure not in each of these moments, the language model should decide not to put anything specific. It's not perfect because there's obviously something right here, but it mostly is able to kind of do it. And this is the best of one. Whoa, best of one. Neat. Empty wine glass. Only the tiniest drop in there. That's pretty impressive. Invisible elephant. That's another challenging goal, but it's able to kind of pull that off. Neat. Math equation. And it's able to sort of figure out how to display that math equation like it would actually be drawn. These are cool results. I don't feel too much of a draw to test any of these on like sort of a don't do this. It makes sense that it's able to mostly do that and sometimes makes some mistakes. Wine glass with only a single drop. Again, it's like it follows instructions very well. I think that's pretty cool. Analyze and learn from uploaded images. That's pretty neat. patent for the thing that you like, best of 16. So it was challenged by that one, but didn't quite figure it out. World knowledge, native image generation links its knowledge between text and image, resulting in a model that feels smarter and more efficient. So it's better at make an image of what this means to you. I am GPT-4o. Okay, so it interpreted sort of what the code was describing. It seems like it's setting a scene as it's describing a Blender render of how something like this will look, and it's got text geometry and things from kind of all these pieces, and it's defined an image in code and then say, try to make it. And I don't know if this is what it would make, but it seems like that was the purpose of the text and the situation, and it kind of is able to interpret in that way. Generate most popular cocktails and how to make them. And it uses its information to sort of piece that together. It makes sense that it's able to do that. Making it describing why San Francisco is so foggy. And it sort of says, hey, we've got a cold ocean breeze, we've got rising air, we've got movement of fog from the Pacific Ocean, and this is how that happens. And, you know, the language model is thinking ahead of time. An educational poster of whales. Okay, that makes sense too, as far as what a whale collection may look like, and it knows how to do it. And because it's going row by row, it's like, here, this is where I want this whale, this is where this whale, this is best of 3. I think it probably, with this prompt, wasn't going, like it would often repeat the whale. And so I think it took a little bit for it to be like, oh, I want this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, and get it exactly right. Matcha instructions, how to make matcha, sift, add water, whisk, and enjoy. Cool. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this model. I don't think I have too much more I want to test. Have you tried experimenting by adding images of abstract textures and getting the AI to apply that texture to what you'd like? That's a reasonable idea. I think Midjourney can generate textures for you, and you can kind of be like, hey, I want to use this texture to generate this. I think could be interesting. But I don't know. I am thinking about breaking for lunch and calling it a live stream. But thank you all for turning up, showing up for this. I think it was fun to kind of experiment with this model and figure out what we're able to do. I think we figured out a lot of things if we kind of like piece our way back to this here. We played with transparency and generating logos. I think this method for like getting a character into a scene, this is kind of going to be your best way of, hey, you want to generate something that includes this and piece everything together with, okay, in the editor, in the selection, erase out what you want to erase and then paste your image in here. Obviously, it's the logo now, but kind of get there from that. And if you work with people, it may have a little bit of trouble kind of keeping everything about that person the same. It is sort of regenerating every aspect of who you are, but it can understand some things really well. Like, I think the exact texture on this flannel feels so real to me. It's a me, Mario Rui. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you appreciated the stream. Great day to be on the internet. But didn't you eat last month, though? I did eat last month. It keeps happening to me that I get hungry and then I need nutrition to sustain my body and life. It's crazy that us humans require so much. Don't you just wish you were an AI who doesn't need to eat and you just need a constant stream of energy to keep you going? But yeah, I think that for character consistency, I think this is your best result, is to really do all of the same character stuff in the same image and then use these images later in your project. It seems like we can get this on a transparent background, which actually having these 5 characters on a transparent background makes it a lot easier to kind of piece them together. So I like that a lot. And yeah, colorizing a photo sort of worked, but again, it seems to be recreating every pixel and piece these things together that way. And so his face doesn't quite line up but it's really, really close. But you sort of just see like how shadows appear and kind of like what's on the front of his face there. Thanks for the demo. I appreciate you showing up, Peter. Nice to have you. I bet you'd fail a CAPTCHA. Yeah, well, don't give me one. Maybe I am AI. Woo! But yeah, I think we like played with some cool things. Obviously, it's not always going to do a consistent character to what you had unless you're a little bit more careful. And I think there's some more playing around we can do to figure out. I feel like I'm close to the 50 image limit, so I'm sort of glad we're finishing up now. But I think this issue might have been able to be resolved if I took the time to kind of say, hey, use this image and this t-shirt and zoom out on it and then give 2 more people wearing the same t-shirt next to them, I think would probably get a closer answer to this question here. Remember to like the stream. Yeah, like the stream before you go. That way people will watch this in the future and be like, whoa, this is how cool GPT-4o was the day it came out. And who knows, it may change a year from now and look different. But yeah, we did some cool things. And I thought this was a really good demo of just how impressive it was. But yeah, this was, I'm now getting to things that were a little bit before you guys got here while I was starting. I made the thumbnail for this stream. Obviously, I needed to create a thumbnail before the stream started, but I'm like, hey, let's kind of piece it together. And yeah, I think lining up characters, still a challenge for it, but very, very fun. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.